Hello, everybody. This is Brian Breaker.
And I am Bane.
And we are from Breaker and Bane's Power Hour, which you can find on www.breakerandbane.com. But right now, you are listening to Two Dudes and an NES.
That is correct.
Hey, Jess. What's up, man? 'Tis the season.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Football season.
That's right. It's already started.
Yeah.
It's already started as of when people are probably listening to this.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It starts
so
today.
we're good. Yeah. It starts today, and so therefore we are playing Tecmo Bowl, right?
Right.
Yeah, and we have a guest. Let's not forget our guest.
Sweet.
We have, well, I'll just let you introduce yourself, Paul. If you're still there. Okay, so our guest is temporarily disabled, I think.
Okay.
So we'll let him introduce himself here in a minute. The
All right.
Tecmo Bowl.
All right. We'll do some histories while we're waiting on Paul to come back. Or how about that?
All right, sounds good.
You are about to listen to Justin's historical tidbits and trivia. Enjoy.
So Tecmo Bowl was originally released as a huge cabinet, an arcade cabinet. It was a 2-monitor cabinet, and then it was released for the NES in February of 1989 in North America, and November of 1990 for the Famicom in Japan. So it was one of those few games that was actually released in America first, and then went over to Japan. It did not have an NFL license, but it had a license from the NFL Players Association. So when you played the game, you could play as generic teams, say Denver, but when you played with Denver, you could play as John Elway. So the name was actually on there, but the name of the team was just the city name. So, and then it became one of the more famous games for the NES. It became much more popular than the arcade version as well. But you couldn't play as all the NFL teams. There was only so many teams that were available. In the AFC, Los Angeles, aka the Raiders, Indianapolis, Miami, Denver, Seattle, and Cleveland, and in the NFC, Washington, San Francisco, Dallas, New York, Chicago, and Minnesota. Each of the teams had different plays and personnel and effectiveness according to who they had. Like Chicago had Walter Payton and Mike Singletary. San Francisco with Joe Montana and Ronnie Lott, and they were probably some of the better teams of the game. But the game was pretty evenly matched as far as the players for each team. No players featured in Tecmo Bowl are still active in the NFL.
Really? Not a single one, huh?
Not a single one. The last one to retire, Sean Landeta, on March 6, 2008. It was a punter who was the last one to retire. And the last player to leave the NFL who was active at the time of the game's release, but not in the game because they played for a team that wasn't in it, was Morton Anderson. Good old Morton Anderson.
He was a kicker too, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Kickers last a long time, I guess, don't they?
Right, yeah. And they're not usually banged up after their, careers. So this game was released several times. It was re-released for the Game Boy, then it came out for actually mobile phones in 2004. It came out for the Wii Virtual Console in 2007, and the arcade game was then released. The arcade remake on the Wii Virtual Console came out in 2009. and then it came out for the WDS Virtual Console in 2013. Um, so yeah, the game was known for a little bit of its quirkiness. It followed some different kind of rules of the game. Like in the arcade version, you could have only 10 players were on the field at a time, and in the NES version, only 9, which is obviously different than the typical 11 that you play with in actual football.
There is
So,
only 9 players, isn't there?
yeah,
I didn't think about that.
yeah. So, anyway, so that's pretty much it for the history.
Okay. You wanna wait just a minute? Let's see if he comes back, so he can add some tidbits to the history if he wants to.
Sure.
I will go ahead and say that football. Yeah. Woo. Are you excited for football? Are you excited for football season?
Yes, I am, of course. I said that it starts today, but it actually started the other night. Oh, another thing in the history that failed to mention, Bo Jackson's never played this game. He never played this one or Tecmo Super Bowl.
Really?
Yeah. So even though he was obviously one of the more famous players in both games, never played it. Well, what are we doing about Paul?
Well, he said he's restarting his computer. We can go ahead and I guess we can go ahead and talk about the quest.
You're about to listen to Michael's quest to find the cart.
All right. Tell me how you found the cart. Where did you have the cart?
I've had the card. That's pretty much it. I think my dad bought it for the family because it was football, and everybody loves football, you know.
Uh-huh.
So
Your dad hated the video games?
no, actually, I think this was in his transitionary period of
Okay.
when he was starting to hate them, and he was trying to savor that moment.
Mm-hmm.
He was trying to prevent the hatred. You know, he's like, "Oh, I hate this thing, Michael. All he does is play this." Maybe if I buy a football game. Oh, okay, Paul's back. Anyways, maybe if I buy a football game and I can deal with him playing all the time with a football game.
Yeah. And then you did play it all the time, and then he was like, "Oh my God, I hate this."
Pretty much, yeah. All right, Paul, welcome back.
Thanks. I guess my internet knows that it shouldn't be working at 8 in the morning either. Who knows?
That reminds me, yesterday, not to go off on a tangent, I was sitting in class yesterday taking notes on my computer, and my computer just said, "Your PC needs to shut down," and just shut down on me. There you go.
Yeah, I hate when that happens. Mine, it always seems like the worst time possible. It says, "Hey, you've got an update, and you have to restart right now." We cannot wait. You have to restart right now.
Or even when it says you can wait, it just keeps reminding you. It's like, oh, okay, I'll restart. It's like the next thing you know, it's been 3 days, and you keep delaying it.
We've had our data acquisition computers at work, like taking data, and that thing keeps popping up, and it just screws everything up. The data just gets ruined.
Yeah.
We have to like disconnect our computers from the internet whenever we start running tests, just because it always wants to restart. Anyways, so we've already talked about history, Paul. Do you have anything you'd like to say about history? Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Okay, yeah, I'd like to say that history is good.
Boy. Well, you know, we're not strangers to technical difficulties on this show.
No, we're not. We're not.
Nor were we. Although I'd say our technical difficulties are mild compared to the ones we used to have on Retro Thought Pod.
Yeah, and you know what? Part of that is it may be Google, because for most of Two Dudes we switched to Skype.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're trying this Hangouts thing again.
If you speak bad of Google on Google Live, they might just kick you out.
Yeah, I don't know. We didn't speak bad of Google. We spoke bad of Microsoft.
Oh.
And Microsoft is Skype. Anyways,
No.
so I quested for the old cart by
Mm-hmm.
playing it and making my dad hate video games. But I don't care.
Well, there you go.
This is the game discussion.
Well, you want to start talking about the gameplay?
Yeah.
Maybe we're going to have Paul on for another show.
Yeah, we'll have to have Paul. We'll have him on for another show. Maybe Tecmo Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or he said he's a big fan of the sports game, so maybe like RBI baseball or something.
Yeah.
So,
all right. So gameplay. One other interesting thing about this game is, they didn't have. They were the first game to have the NFL players, but there was another game that actually had the NFL teams that didn't have the players, and that was the infamous LJN's NFL. Did you ever play that game?
no, it was made by LJN.
Yeah, LJN. So there's your first warning there. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So the NFL gave them the license, but the NFL Players Association gave the license to Tecmo Bowl. I'd say that the NFLPA made the better decision.
Yeah.
So,
But how are
anyway.
you going to know when they're in the middle of making the game? How are you even going to know?
It's strict. I guess it's strictly guess, unless maybe the NFL Players Association had some video gamers on there and they knew LJN's
Okay.
reputation.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Is the Players Association run by the players?
Yeah. It's like a union. It's just
Uh-huh.
a union of NFL players.
For some reason, I don't see NFL football players playing video games. I don't know why.
Probably not back then. We've had this discussion before about like adults didn't really, games weren't really adult minded back then. They didn't really make a lot of games for adults like they do now. And part of that is probably that we've grown up playing video games. Now that we're adults, they can make games for us now that we'll buy. But I don't think adults really played a lot of video games back then.
Yeah.
Although
Speaking
grand
of,
scale.
on a what?
On a grand scale, I mean, like overall.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure somebody's gonna write in and say, "Well, my dad played video games every day." Now, I'm not saying I'm sure that there were adults that played video games, but I'm saying overall there were probably less adults playing video games then than there are now.
Yeah, you do realize nobody writes this, right?
That's true. We
we
can't
always
even
say-
get feedback.
We always say this stuff like, "Oh, somebody's going to write in and correct us." No, nobody ever writes into
Mhm.
us.
Right.
Which that makes us sad, people. I don't know why you don't want to write into us.
Yeah, we could use some hate mail. Hate
Yeah.
mail. We'll read it on the show.
I want some hate mail. Remember last time we got any kind of hate mail was on our app. That was
Mhm.
awesome. That was great. That was good times. We're probably
That
going
was
to
so
make we're probably going to make fun of you, to be honest. But
hmm You're gonna set yourself up for something that you may not be happy with, but yeah.
you're not happy anyways if you're sending us hate mail.
That's true. So, yeah, the your game sucks is probably the best thing I've ever read. So,
Anyway, so
Anyway.
the game, the
Mhm.
thing I like about Tecmo Bowl is even though the player, they have different stats and stuff, and obviously some teams they're better than other teams.
hmm
In this game, it's really well balanced. Like you don't have to
Yeah.
be Denver or I don't know the 49ers or Bo Jackson in this version. Tecmo Super Bowl is a little different, but in this version, you don't have to be. You can just
Yeah.
be whichever your favorite team is or whichever your favorite player is, and you can compete.
Right. Yeah, I do like that. We were talking about that before we got on here with Paul, so I'll just quote Paul when he was the one that was actually talking about this. Is Bo Jackson was so dominant in Tecmo Super Bowl all you had to do was play as Bo Jackson, you're gonna win. Like, you know. And like this game, it wasn't the case. But you know.
Yeah, and
The
also
one-
to give Paul some more props, since technical difficulties prevented him from being on the show. He sent me a really cool link to a website called Tecmo Bowl versus RBI Baseball, and it just blew me away with the amount of stats that this game has. I didn't even realize like how much individual statistic type things went into this game, like player speed, player arm strength, power, player's power, top speed, acceleration, all this stuff. Each player has a stat, and it determines kind of how they move.
And that's kind of a modern, we think of that as kind of a modern thing, because, now you get on like a football game and it's going to show you like power, what percentage of power they have, and speed and things like that. But that was actually going on back then too.
Yeah, but it wasn't thrown in your face like it is now.
Right.
Now they're like, ooh, look at our stats. We got all kinds of stats. But then back then they were just like, yeah, we got stats.
Right.
For example, can I give you an example?
Please.
Who do you think the quarterback with the maximum top speed is? Who do you think the top speed?
Top speed?
Yeah, the fastest as far as top speed goes.
Let's see. I'm gonna go with Elway.
Yeah, it was Elway.
Yeah. A lot of people don't remember Elway was actually a pretty good running quarterback.
Even when he got older, he was, which was kind of incredible.
A lot of people thought, just think of him as a passer, but he wasn't a Marino type, just stand in the pocket and pass. He was a good mobile quarterback in real life and in the game. Anyway, go ahead.
So the game's accuracy. So what about who has the best initial starting speed and acceleration?
Quarterback?
It's not
Quarterback?
If that helps you. Quarterback.
So
but
I'm trying to think of.
He also has the second best top speed.
I'm gonna go. Well, I'm gonna go with Montana. I'm just gonna go with Montana.
It was Montana. I was about to say he's also plays on the team that I always play as whenever I play this game.
Okay. Okay. Got any more?
Sure. Yeah, I got some more. Do you know? Let's go to the running backs, because I know how much you like your running backs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Which running back has the maximum top speed?
I'm gonna say probably Bo Jackson still.
Yeah, it's Bo Jackson.
Yeah.
What about? Let's see.
The best running back? What about the best running back? Walter Payton.
Oh, okay. Right. For anyone who doesn't know, actually, I'll just let people figure it out over the course of the show who your favorite team is. We won't explicitly say it, but I'm pretty sure they will have figured it out by the end of the show.
Okay.
So, how about which one has the most power?
Walter Payton?
No, he's a weakling actually. Compared to everybody else.
Well, would it be Bo Jackson too? Would he also have the most power?
He has the second most power. The most power actually goes to Mack. Played for Cleveland. I don't know his first name.
Clearly famous.
Yeah. Mack. Little Mac. We'll say his first name's Little. Little Mac.
Oh, okay. This is what he did after he got through boxing.
Right. Went to the NFL. Okay, let's do wide receivers and tight ends, and then we'll quit. All right. Okay. Which wide receiver has the max top speed?
Jerry Rice.
Yep, Jerry Rice. Which is why I always play at San Francisco. I think it's kind of cheating. I use Montana and Jerry Rice. Maybe that's cheating. I don't know.
Was San Francisco one of the teams that had three passing plays and one running play?
Yep.
Okay.
They were. I feel like it's kind of cheating. It's kind of like it's not as bad as the Bo Jackson cheat. Mm-hmm. But with San Francisco, if you use Montana Jerry Rice and you let Jerry run all the way down the field like on a bomb,
Yeah.
you just wait a long time to throw it because he has the max top speed. He eventually gets ahead of them, and it works a lot of the time, unless they unless they pick a defensive play that brings over like a safety.
Yeah.
Then
That's the only thing about this game. If you throw to a covered receiver, interception.
yeah.
Another interesting thing about this game is even though Bo Jackson was still statistically the better running back in the game, and in the Raiders playbook, or I'm sorry, Los Angeles's playbook, they only used him once. Only one of the running plays used him. So he had 2 running plays, but only one running play used Bo Jackson. The other one was Marcus Allen. Did you know that?
Yeah. That's weird.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know if they just, like, the guys who created this game were, like, big Marcus Allen fans. It's like, we gotta let the backup, get some fame here.
Marcus Allen was a pretty good running back in his own
he was good.
regard.
Yeah. He's no Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson is almost like that. Oh, Paul Bunyan-like character. Just more myth than he is.
Yeah, I can see that. I
reality.
think he is all myth. Well,
I don't
not
think it's all myth.
I didn't mean to say all myth. Sorry.
Did you ever watch I love the ESPN 30 for 30 documentaries. You ever watch any of them?
No.
There's one. You can watch them on Netflix, but there's one called Bo Knows, and it's about Bo Jackson and his life. And one of the best stories was the football coach for the high school got hired on, and he was out there talking to the principal, and he noticed this guy was over on the football field working. He had a shovel. He was doing some kind of maintenance out there. He had his shirt off. It was just, he said the guy was huge, just ripped, and he was like, and then the guy said, guy looked at the coach, the newly hired coach looked at the principal and says, "Hey, I hope your maintenance guy there plays football." And he's like, "Oh no, that is one of your football players. That's Bo Jackson."
That's funny.
And the coach was just like, he said he was just amazed because this looks like this did not look like a high school kid out there. He said it was like a full grown man, just huge guy out there. And he was like he was just shocked that was a actual football player, student.
Did Bo Jackson turn around and say, "Hey, Bo knows janitorial"?
Bo knows maintenance. That's why he was out there.
Yeah.
Like, they couldn't figure out, there was probably some kind of water line problem out on the football field, and they're like, well, just go get Bo. He'll figure it out.
Bo knows maintenance.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hey, that was one of my trophies. We just stole one of my trophies. No, just kidding.
Bo knows maintenance. Fixes the game.
Yeah. No,
But no, I mentioned one of the quirks of this game that kind of gets thrown out a lot, and that's the if there's ever a defender on a receiver, it's an interception. If you throw to that receiver, it's going to be an interception. There's no battle where the receiver wins. There's no over the head catch like when the Giants played the Patriots a few years back in the battle for the ball.
yeah, those things don't. Well, I mean, look at the game. Can you just look at the game for a minute? You're not going to get this awesome battle for a ball.
Yeah.
Basically, if that ball hits, whoever the ball hits, that's who catches it, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, but with that being said, this is definitely the most functional. This is definitely the most functional and probably the best looking football game before at the time. Before Tecmo Super Bowl comes out, obviously. But when this game came out, this was like heads and tails the most functional football game that had ever come out.
Well, if you just compare it to the game that I mentioned, I was just looking at screenshots of LJN's NFL. Now, I've never played LJN's NFL, but just the comparison of just the screenshots was like night and day. I mean, the NFL game was just not not impressive at all. But
Now, when I was a kid, right, I wasn't a huge football fan.
mhm.
I did love playing this game. One of the best features of this game, and probably my favorite thing about it, and this may sound ridiculous because it has nothing to do with the actual game or football, was the cutscenes.
Yeah, I love Bo spiking the football.
Yeah, Bo spiking the football, the high five, like between the quarterback and the receiver after you
Yeah.
throw a touchdown pass. The halftime show. What happened to halftime shows in football
know.
video games?
I know. Yeah, it was the cutscene was something that was so integral to the NES as a whole. I mean, you had so many games that had cutscenes, and the cutscenes were kind of this way to show like some graphics that the real game they couldn't show in.
Mm-hmm.
And the cutscenes were even brought along even into later games. But I remember, not to go off on too much of a tangent, but you remember the original NBA Jam that came out for the Super Nintendo?
Yep.
The cutscene in the halftime show had an actual video of Horace Grant dunking. And I thought that was
I
the
don't
coolest
remember
thing.
that. That is cool.
I thought it was the coolest thing because it was an actual video. And of course, like looking back, it was like a grainy video and it like looked really bad. And it was just no matter what two teams were playing, the halftime was always the same. Horace Grant dunking a basketball. But yeah.
Why Horace Grant?
Well, my logic on that is Jordan wasn't even in the game, right? Jordan did not exist in video games. And I guess they just wanted somebody from the Bulls. I don't know why they didn't use Scottie Pippen,
Yeah,
but
that would have made a lot more sense.
yeah. But yeah, Horace Grant.
Tecmo Bowl.
So, yeah. So who was your favorite team to play as? San Francisco?
Yeah, San Francisco. I
Did you have a
like
favorite play?
pretty much the bomb to Rice was my go-to, but I also like the post route. I don't think the ball went to Rice on the post route, though. I'm trying to think who it went to. I don't know. It went to one of the other receivers on the post route.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's what I liked. Did you have a favorite team? Let me guess. Does it start with a C?
It started with a C.
Okay.
Chicago.
Yeah.
I liked the run play with Walter Payton going to the left. That was probably my favorite play.
What is this concept of left you're talking about? Left is backwards, right? That makes him
Well,
run
yeah.
wrong direction.
No, okay, I'm sorry. Where he runs
Up.
up. Yes, up. Sorry.
That's okay.
That was a bad. But left, it's left according to the line. Is what
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
All right, but yeah, I love. I'm a big running back fan. Obviously, as a big Walter Payton fan, and that was probably my go-to play. Whether it was that successful or not was debatable. The thing about Chicago is they didn't have the best passing plays, really, which is really kind of not surprising. But they did have one passing play where Walter Payton ran out in the flat that I liked as well. I think it was the second passing play, if I can remember correctly. But yeah.
So you, even on your passing plays, you like to throw to Walter Payton.
Yeah, just because it's Walter Payton.
Yeah. See, that's something that's really cool about this game is you got the actual players. I don't know.
Right.
I'm trying to think if anybody did that prior to this game or not. I don't know, but
No, this is the first game. No, this is the first game that the NFL Players Association allowed them to use the names.
yeah. So that was really cool. Was being, even though I wasn't a huge football fan when I was a kid, I know my dad was, and I know a lot of my family was. So I knew the names just from them watching
Right.
football all the time. So it was really cool to be able to play as the football players.
Right. Oh yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, I mean, and that's probably one of the best things about sports video games as a whole is when you get to actually play as your quote unquote heroes, I guess you could say, the people that you actually, because you always want to play as them and live vicariously a little bit through them, and these games actually allow you to do that. So, yeah.
It's awesome. It's an awesome football game. I feel like we just talk about tangents this whole episode, but
Yeah.
I mean, graphically, it's better than. I'm trying to take this from the perspective of the time this game came out. Graphically, it blows all other football games away. Gameplay-wise, it's still probably one of the best football games to play gameplay-wise today. I guarantee you there are people who still play this game more than they play any other football game.
Yeah.
It's kind of like we said about Punch-Out. I mean,
You can't beat it. You really can't. And, sometimes, you just got to go to the originals to get, and that's why we do this podcast, right? Is because you just got to go to the originals sometimes, because the newfangled games, while they're great, the originals you can just sit down and play them real quick and dirty is like what I like to say.
You like to say that, huh?
Yeah, quick and dirty.
Quick and dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah, but another thing to note, though, is in that same vein, people still play this game. You can actually get updated versions of this game, like where people have hacked it and put the teams from now and the players from now in the game.
Yeah.
They do that more so with Tecmo Super Bowl, not as much with Tecmo Bowl, I don't think. But it's still cool that you can get Tecmo Bowl 2014 or something. You know what I mean? So that you're playing as the players from today. But I personally think it's more fun to play as the players from then in Tecmo Bowl. So
Yeah.
What about that song when it first kicks on?
Oh yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. Again, NES with its music is amazing. But I didn't find anything about in the history about like who made that song or whatever. So
I don't know. I just think it's awesome. Like you first turn on, you hit the system, and it goes. I could hear that played on the. I could hear that somebody playing that in like a metal song. But then all of a sudden it goes into like this super happy thing. Where it's like it goes. and then it goes like really happy.
Yeah, do that again.
No.
Oh no.
Let me go get my cat. I'll get my cat to do it.
You don't have a cat, unless you got a cat.
No, I have a dog.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do. Anyways, so I don't know. I recommend everyone go out and buy this game. How much is this game on Amazon right now?
Let's see. Let's look. Let's look here. Well, my computer's not being the quickest right now.
We're not gonna lose you too, are we?
No. Let's see if I can.
I really feel bad about losing Paul.
Yeah, poor Paul. I wonder if he's still trying to get on.
No, he quit. He quit.
Ah, okay. Tecmo Bowl. Let's see if we can find how much. Go shopping, and it looks like anywhere. Well, $6.40 is the cheapest. So it's not the cheapest game that we've ever talked about.
But it's easily within range. I would go buy it.
Definitely worth it. So with shipping, it's probably about $10. But that's free shipping. Sorry.
Hey, so if you're going to play it with your friends, right? Then I would probably play Tecmo Bowl because it's better balanced. But Tecmo Super Bowl, which we'll talk about on another day, may be a better game overall.
Right.
But I always prefer the original Tecmo Bowl when playing with friends because then they can't complain because it's more balanced. They can't complain when I stomp them down with San Francisco.
With a steel-toed boot.
Yeah. How about some trophies?
You're about to hear some retrofitted trophies.
Oh boy, I can't wait to talk about my trophy.
You got a good one?
You're gonna think it's good because it's just biased, but I don't know. It's called Ditka.
It's just called Ditka.
Yeah, it's just called Ditka. Just win as the Bears or Chicago. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Mhm.
I'm gonna say my first trophy is I didn't think of any, by the way, on accident. I forgot about trophies. I'm gonna say where's the mascots?
Where is the mascot?
Yeah,
Is
where are
that
the
your
mascots?
trophy, or is that just a question?
Well, no, I was gonna try to make it funny about there being no mascots, and it just hit me. Where are the mascots?
There are no mascots. Yeah. I
That's-
don't know. Yeah.
Anyways,
Uh,
I guess I can't make it funny about the mascots not being the correct mascots because there's no mascots at all.
Yeah. Well, you know.
All right, you got another
Uh,
trophy? I think I've gone with 0 this week, unless I think of one by the time you're done.
Yeah. Still good game, but no Super Bowl. And that's win as Miami.
Oh,
Is that a low blow?
poor Marino.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah,
not very nice.
I know. I had to.
Why? He's like, why has he not ever won a Super Bowl? Whatever happened? What happened in those chances that they had?
I don't know, man. They had the coach. I mean, the coach had won one before.
Hmm.
They had certainly had the team. They just never. I don't know if Marino just couldn't. I don't know. I don't know what it was. It just never clicked. You know, to win a Super Bowl, and they say this about national championships and Super Bowls, you almost have to have a little bit of luck, almost more so than skill sometimes. I just don't think the cards ever fell on their side. If you look at, like, just to go to a Super Bowl that we mentioned earlier, like when the Giants played the Patriots were undefeated. No one would argue that they were not the best team in the NFL that year. But they didn't win the Super Bowl because the cards didn't fall on their side. The things just didn't work out in that one game. If the Patriots played the Giants 5 games, if it was the 5-game series like like basketball has,
Mm-hmm.
the Patriots would have won because they were the better team, but they just didn't play the better game that night. And I think that the Dolphins just always were like that. They just never they were never the ones that played the better game that particular time.
Well,
I don't know. That's just my explanation of it. So.
Okay, thanks for that explanation. You have given me time to think of 2 trophies.
Sweet.
Do you have any more, by the way?
No, that's good.
Okay. All right. My first one is I think you're going to need a bright orange vest, and that is get a safety.
I like that. Pretty good.
And then the next one is quit being a jerk and take a knee, and that is score 5 touchdowns in one game.
Sweet.
Because you're running up the score. Get it?
Mm-hmm. Right.
All right. How about a rating?
This is game rating.
All right. How are we gonna do the rating? How about a Super Bowl game? Like a year of the Super Bowl. What was
I don't have a lot of knowledge about past Super Bowls.
Well,
How about a wide receiver route? I could probably do that.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to go with the deep post
Mm-hmm.
because this game is it's like the go-to staple route of football games. I mean, the deep post, if you're wanting to try to get a good angle on a touchdown, that's a good route in football to try to do it with, right?
Right.
So this game, this is the good angle to score a hit with a football video game. This is the right way to do it. That's what I think.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going with the Hail Mary, because they went all in with this game, and it is a phenomenal game, even today.
I thought about the Hail Mary, but then I thought, well, Justin might want to do the Hail Mary.
So, yeah, they went all in. They got the players to Players Association to buy in, and they got it done.
Yeah,
They did it great.
that's good. If there's one thing that bothers me about when we do good games like this,
Mm-hmm.
it's that we don't do them justice. I feel like our show does. I worry that our show doesn't do them justice when we do like really awesome games.
Yeah.
When we do the duds, I feel like our shows are awesome because we don't have to worry.
I'll tell you this. I think the reason that is because it's part of the show is we try to bring a little comedy to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier to be funny when you're talking about bad games than it is about good games. It's hard to make a joke about something that's awesome, you know?
Yeah, it is. It is. So our shows, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I like talking about the good games too. Mainly, I like playing the good games, leading up to talking about them. So I like doing the good games.
Yeah.
But I do like the duds too because we can bash on them pretty hard.
And plus, I think, unfortunately Paul wasn't able to join us. I think Paul would have really had a lot of good things to say
I think so too.
about this game too. I hate that he wasn't able to get in on this conversation, but like you said, we'll get him in here for another game.
Yeah.
But I like the guest. I hope our listeners like the guest format because, like last week with Punch Out, I think the show went really well with a guest.
Yeah,
and even shows in the past where we've had guests went really well.
I like bringing on guests, and we've got a lot. I'll tell you right now, we've got a lot of people that want to be on the show and want to help do guest spots with us.
Yeah.
So we may be running guests for a long time. It may be a while before we get just us two dudes. But so if you don't like guests, you better tell us now because we're getting them lined up. Let's go to listener feedback. Let's talk through some listener feedback. What about that?
Okay.
This is listener feedback.
I'll pull it up then. Unless you have it already pulled up.
I do not, but we do have a voicemail.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Did you listen to it beforehand?
Yeah, I did, just in case.
I always have this fear.
I didn't know who this. Well, I knew who the last one was from. I didn't know who this one was from until I listened to it.
Mm-hmm. It's like I always have this fear that, like the guy that was texting you,
Yeah.
texting the number, he's gonna call and leave some like explicit voicemail or accidentally play it on the show.
Yeah. Hey, baby.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. No. I listened to this one. It's good.
Okay.
Dudes, this is not quite yet honorary dude Jay Jorgensen calling. So I listened to your episode this week, and I was kind of bummed that I didn't have any time to get on and make comments about Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, since it's like the best Nintendo game there is besides Super Mario Bros. 3. But I just wanted to call and say that game is sweet, super cool, and me and my buddies still like to get together and drink a lot of beer and play this game. So you can imagine the things that are said once we get to like the second or third guy, like Great Tiger and stuff like that. But at any rate, for next week's episode, Tecmo Bowl, I haven't played this game in at least 2 decades. But I am going to come up with a trophy right now. I'm going to call it Bud Grant Would Be Impressed. Tom Arnold's not important. I'm going with Bud Grant because he was the greatest Vikings coach ever, so you have to win a Super Bowl as the Minnesota Vikings. And, that's that. And then, auxiliary question, what are the 3 worst Nintendo games you've ever played? I'm going with Uncanny X-Men, the Silver Surfer, and the pinball game that features Mario, because that game sucks. Talk to you later.
All right. I would ask Jay, has he ever played Deadly Towers?
I don't know. That's a good question. So he asked, let's see. For one, he commented on Tecmo, or not Tecmo Bowl, but Mike Tyson Punch Out.
Mm-hmm.
Said they get drunk and play, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Which would be very difficult to do.
Yep.
And then two, he says that, who is it he mentioned? I'm not big on the Vikings. I don't know, Bud somebody? He's a coach?
Yeah, he was a coach of the Vikings for a long time. I forgot his last name. I didn't really catch the
You
last
weren't
name.
paying attention?
I was paying attention, but I mean, I
jerk.
didn't really. I forgot the guy's name.
You're a
But,
jerk. You're a jerk.
Dude, the only coach that I know. Well, I know a few coaches, but from
Ditka.
that era, Ditka,
Ditka.
the only coach that matters, right?
Sure, whatever you say. Okay, so he would be impressive. But the question he asked us was, what are the 3 worst NES games that you've played?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. That sounds like another show.
Yeah, well, we can go ahead and answer it a little bit here, though. We may do a whole show on worst NES games at some point, but I would agree with his Silver Surfer comment because it's just ridiculously difficult for no reason. It's
Right.
like you run into things and it messes up. But then Deadly Towers is pretty bad, but I don't know if I'd put it as a worst. Power Punch 2 is that's in my top 3. Power Punch 2 is terrible.
Right. I'd say playing Deadly Towers when we talked about it. That pretty much reminded me how bad it was. Yeah. I'm just gonna have to go with that for right now because I can't really think of anything else that I really just despised. I was trying to think if there was a game that I had growing up that I just never touched. I can't really recall anything like that. I never really had a huge NES game collection. I went to the rental store all the time. And I would only buy games that I really, really liked.
Yeah, I was the same way. I would rent most of the time. But I can remember, and usually when I would rent, even if I hated it, I'd play it because it's like, dang, I rented this game, I got to play it. But I can probably remember a few that I rented, and I thought, man, I really wish I wouldn't have wasted my weekend on this game.
I'm fairly certain.
I would always rent for the weekend, right? And then it's not like I could change my mind, so I went ahead and played it.
I'm fairly certain that I had probably the record amount of rentals at the rental store that I went to for Super Mario Brothers 2 before I actually got the game for like Christmas or something. I rented that game like every time I went to the rental store. Just like I had to have that game. I'm not really even sure why. Because it's really certainly not the best Mario game for the NES.
I don't know, maybe you had the other ones. Did you have the other ones?
I don't know. I don't remember. It seems like I did have 3 before I had 2. So.
Did you rent from Pick-a-Flick or did you rent from somewhere else?
Do you remember there was a trailer across the bridge there in Loudon?
Yes.
There was a rental store.
Yes, I do remember that one.
That's where I went.
I went there a couple times. My parents didn't really like me going there though, for some reason.
There was something about that store. I think there was maybe maybe they had an adult section or something. Because I remember there was it was always kind of they didn't want me going to a certain part of the store.
That was a sketchy rental. To paint a picture for everybody. Okay, so most of the people in Loudon where we grew up live on one side of the bridge, right? Mm-hmm. Then on the other side of the bridge, there's a drive-in, and now there's a car lot. But before there wasn't a car lot, there was a parking lot and a trailer. Mm-hmm. Like a trailer like you would buy to live in, right?
Right.
And it was jacked up and it had stairs, and you'd go up into this trailer, and inside the trailer were movies and games and stuff you could rent from. Mm-hmm. But it was just like a trailer in a parking lot, and it wasn't like a super nice trailer either. It was kind of a beat up old trailer.
I could remember what it sounded like walking around in there. It was like the hollow ground underneath you.
Yeah.
The big thumps that you made when you walk around. And then Pick a Flick eventually took over. Once that place got busted for selling meth or something, um, uh, uh, I did eventually start going to Pick a Flick.
Do you remember
Exclusively.
the cupboard in town had game rentals and movie
Yeah,
rentals? My parents would never let me go in there.
that was
Ever.
definitely off limits for me because they did have. I do remember they had the adults only section.
Yeah.
It was in like this wooden box. Yeah.
See, Pick a Flick had an adults only section, but theirs was in a back room that was locked that you'd have to go ask for the key.
Yeah.
So they really wanted to really embarrass you if you wanted to go get an adult movie at Pick a Flick.
You have to come ask.
You have to come ask for the
You know,
key.
It's like, I guess, not that I've ever done it, but
Right,
if
right.
you're going to find an adult movie, you just gotta, I've heard Adam Grohl talk about it. It's like you just gotta go, oh, what's in here? Let's see. I don't know. I don't know. You just like, you wander into it, not knowing what you're getting into.
Or pretending to not know what you're getting
Right,
into.
exactly. But you couldn't do that at Pick a Flick. They're like, nope, we have to shame you.
Yeah, I remember there was a door that said adults only, and it was locked,
Hmm.
and you'd have to go ask them to let you
Yeah.
in.
So.
And the whole time they're like rubbing their fingers at you, you know, shame me.
Yeah. And then usually if you ask for it, the guy at the counter, you yell at somebody at the back room, "Hey, we got a guy that needs the key to the adults only."
Hey Tom, you got that key?
Sorry, we don't get many people that want to go in there, so we got to get that key out. Got to find it.
Oh
Yeah.
man. All right. So do we have any other feedback, like Facebook or anything?
Well, I was looking. We did have one person comment 12 hours ago on our forum. Okay.
On the forum. Woo!
Yep. So we got Burks008 says, while playing Tecmo Bowl with a friend back in the day, I had built a healthy lead in our game. My friend was kicking off to me, and as a sign of mercy, I told him I would just run straight down the middle of the field. My kick returner managed to streak right down the middle of the field and untouched to the end zone. I laughed, and my friend ran home pissed. Good times.
That's funny.
I
That
love good
actually,
stories like that.
that actually reminds me of like a couple weeks ago, Crabman and I were playing Tecmo Bowl,
Hmm.
and we were. Let's see. No, wow. Never mind. It wasn't just a couple weeks ago. It was like back when the Super Bowl was coming on. Because yeah, that shows how good my memory is. But anyways, back when the Super Bowl was about to come on, we picked the Super Bowl teams. I think they were both available. Who's in the Super Bowl? You
Yeah, it
remember?
was Denver and Seattle. They were both on the game.
Yeah. So we picked Denver and Seattle, and we were going to predict the Super Bowl. So
Mhm.
we played. I was beating him the whole game. I was beating him by probably at least 14 points the entire game, and then somehow in the fourth quarter he makes a miraculous comeback and ties it up, and we go into overtime, right? Or no, wait.
Yeah.
Can you go into overtime in Tecmo Bowl?
I don't think I ever have.
Okay, maybe it wasn't overtime. Maybe it was just. Anyways, all I remember is the very last play of the game was him kicking off to me.
Mm-hmm.
It was either overtime to where it was the last play because I scored and I won, or I can't remember if Tecmo Bowl has overtime or not. Anyways, or it was the last like 5 seconds in the fourth quarter. He kicks off to me, run it all the way back.
Nice.
Touchdown, game over. I think he threw my controller and like left.
That's great. Oh man, I love good stories like that. I don't have a good Tecmo story related to that, but do you remember Dan, right?
Dan the
Matthew.
man? Oh yeah.
So when we were roommates in college, I got really good at Tiger Woods, whatever year that was, when I was a freshman in college. So like 2004 was the game, and I was like really good, like ridiculously good, like embarrassing that I was this good because I played it that much.
Yeah, I remember.
and he would play me, and I would let him like even get a couple of strokes on me in the first 9 holes, and then the next 9 holes just obliterate him, and like beat him by like 10 strokes, and he would get so mad because I do that to him, because he would think he would have like this hope that I'm gonna actually beat you this time, and then I would just annihilate him, and then he would just get mad. So,
Yeah, I do remember that as well because that was a game where you could create a person, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the more
Yeah.
you played, the better his stats would get. And your
Right.
guy had like maxed out stats, so the only way anybody had any chance of beating you, anyways, was to pick Tiger Woods.
But it's Tiger, yeah.
Because we couldn't make our own guys; our guys didn't stand a chance.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So I got one more Crabman Tecmo Bowl story before we close out the show. I've been saving this one for the end because this one's even better than the last minute runback kickoff. All right.
Okay.
Basically the same scenario, right?
Okay.
I'm kicking his tail all game.
Mhm.
This one may have even been a bigger comeback. This may have been like 21 points he had to score to catch up, all scored in the fourth quarter, right?
Mhm.
I think he caught up, and then he went ahead of me. So he scored 28 points in the fourth quarter somehow. I don't even know what was going on. It was like bomb after bomb or something. And I was getting really frustrated. And he catches up, and he gets ahead of me. And then I score, and so the last thing that happened is I score to catch up and tie it. So it's tied.
Right.
It's tied. I had just scored. I'm kicking off to him, right? It had been a while since we had played Tecmo Bowl, right?
Mhm.
I don't know how long it's been, but it had been a while since he and I sat down and played Tecmo Bowl. I kick it off to him. I kick it off really long. He catches it in the end zone. He thinks, okay, I don't have a lot of time on the clock. I think my best option is to take a touchback. Not in Tecmo Bowl. You can't take a touchback. I run down. I didn't remember this either, else I would have told him to run out of the end zone because that's just wrong for me to have known this and let him do this. So I didn't know it either. But my guys run down the field, tackle him in the end zone, safety. I win.
Nice. Nice.
I'm pretty sure with that one he took my controller and just like broke it over his knee.
For the listeners, I gotta do a little explain. It's funny when Grabman gets angry because Grabman's like the nicest man in the universe.
Yeah, he is.
He's like super. He's just a sweet guy.
He's a sweetheart. He's a sweetheart.
Yeah, he's a sweetheart. I mean, he doesn't get frazzled or angry, but when he does, it's hilarious because it's just like, oh yeah, it's usually over a video game.
It usually is, yeah. Usually. So yeah. So there's my final Tecmo Bowl story. We'll need to get him on the show too.
Yeah, we do.
He's a pretty big fan of Excite Bike, so maybe we get him on for Excite Bike.
Yeah. Yeah, he's another one that's like John last week, having a baby.
Yeah.
We gotta get him on quick if we're gonna get him, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
So shout outs. We've got one special shout out this week to some of our friends south of the border.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So
I was doing a little research on our listenership, and it turns out that south of the border, Mexico, South America, you guys are really listening to the show.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not like a huge chunk. Most of our listeners come from United States, America, and like the UK.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a sliver that is obviously listening to us south of the border. So thank you guys. Or
thank you.
Muchas gracias.
Yes.
I hope that's not offensive to you.
Well, no, you're just reaching out.
That's right.
You're reaching out to them. That was a surprising factor. I was not expecting that, specifically because we don't speak Spanish.
Right.
I guess maybe there's some English speakers down there that are listening.
Mm-hmm. So thank you all. I hope you are enjoying the show.
Or maybe they all get around and they have like one translator. It's like a weekly 2 dudes listen.
Yeah. They just all congregate in Mexico City, and no, they need 2 translators. They need a dude Justin and a dude Michael translator.
Okay.
And which, if we ever meet these guys, we're going to get them on the show.
Yes.
How creepy would it be if, like, Dude Michael looks like you and Dude Justin looks like me?
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
Like, they just don't know.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Let's give Paul's show a shout out since he tried to come on the show
Okay.
and failed. So Retro Obscura is the show he's on, and
Mhm.
they're kind of a unique show in that they do shows about games that you probably haven't played. A lot of times they're games that you should play because but you haven't heard them. They suggest that you play them, but then sometimes they're games that you haven't played for a good reason, that sort of thing. But it's a cool show. Look it up. It's Retro Obscura. I would ask him at this point where we could go to find his show. I'm guessing iTunes, the Retro Junkies. You can probably find them on the Retro Junkies as well. So that's them.
Yeah, it's a good show. It's an interesting show too. It's like you said, it lives up to its name, Retro Obscura. They pull out some stuff you've never heard of.
Yeah.
So.
All right. What about us?
Well, we've got a website, and so our website is run through WordPress, of course. And I've been noticing I get updates on my phone. I guess anytime we get activity through WordPress, because I have WordPress on my phone, we've been getting a lot of likes and follows on WordPress. So, like all week, I've been getting I
have too.
Notifications that we're getting likes and follows. So thank you guys, and I hope you're enjoying the website.
I think part of that too is that we've actually started writing a few like pieces to go on there besides just our shows.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you people are liking these, but I know Justin wrote one, I wrote one, we posted one that John wrote.
Yeah.
So if you're liking them, we'll try to continue to do them. If you're not liking them, then too bad. We're probably gonna still do them every night.
Yeah, we'll run some of those articles some more because I think maybe that has a factor to it. Plus, it's a good place to listen to all the shows. You don't want to go on iTunes and download. You can just go on the website and listen to them. But of course, if you do go on iTunes, leave us some feedback. We're not soliciting for 5 stars, but
speaking of, I almost forgot. We got a new 5-star.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. Yeah. So go ahead and finish what you're saying, but let me pull it up.
Yeah, just leave us some feedback, even if it's not a 5-star. We'll talk about it on the show. We'll listen to your suggestions if they're good, and
if they're not good, we will ignore them.
Right. Exactly. We'll keep doing what we're doing.
I've got it up, right?
Okay.
This one is from Why do I need a nickname? Is this guy's name? or this person's name. It may not be a guy. It says, well done. I am listening to the Metroid episode right now. 35 minutes in, you guys state the greatest point that I always argue, and that's why I love old games. Graphics mean nothing. It's all about one thing, gameplay. Cheers. So yeah. We do. I've noticed that. I don't know if we do this on purpose. I know I don't do it on purpose. We tend to not. Whenever we talk about these games, we tend to not talk about the graphics all that much.
Right.
And we usually don't talk about the sound all that much unless there's something like really awesome about it, like Punch Out has awesome music or the awesome intro song to this game. I don't know if people actually want to hear how good the graphics are or not, but we tend to only talk about the graphics when they are kind of above and beyond what other NES games are.
Yeah.
Because the graphics really aren't important when it comes to these old NES games. So that was a good review. Thank you.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's kind of when I wrote my article, it's kind of one of the things that I don't even know if I mentioned it, but I was trying to get at is that the graphics aren't everything. It's about the game.
It's all about the game. That's the reason we can go back and play these old games is because the gameplay was so good. Because let's be honest, a lot of them look like dirt. Especially depending on your setup and your TV. I've seen really good setups where people have like really nice TVs, and they've got them run through like the best cables, and they do look pretty crisp. But most of the time, if you plug your NES into your system, or if you play emulators, which I hope nobody does, right? but I'm
Right.
sure everybody does. Oftentimes they look like mud smeared on the screen.
Yeah.
Which,
It's funny. Like you remember back in the day when we would play the NES on like an old projection big screen TV.
yeah.
And we would think it was awesome because everything was big. But if
Mhm.
you look at that nowadays, like go plug in an NES on a projection. First of all, because we have LED and LCD and plasma now, projection looks like butt anyway. Right. But if you plug in the NES to it, it's just like, what was I thinking when I thought this looked awesome? You know?
Yeah.
So.
Anyways, how about tell them about our forum, our newly created forum?
So we've created a forum. We're trying to centralize our feedback a little bit because we get on Facebook here. We're trying to do the show, and it's like our feedback is a little scattered. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get people to go to our forum and leave feedback, so that when we get on the show, we make sure we don't skip anybody's feedback. We get this forum going. Get everybody to get on the forum. Leave your feedback there, and there will always be a link to the forum for that week's show. So just look at it. It'll be posted on Facebook, of course,
And Twitter and everywhere else.
and Twitter. Yeah, everything else, and the link to that forum. And please go to the forum and leave your feedback.
We're trying it. It may not work. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Some people like forums. Forums usually generate a good pass and catch, if you will, since it's a football episode, where people can, interact and leave us good feedback. Facebook is good, but for some reason, Facebook buries things too easily. It's like the feedback always just gets buried. Where if we have a forum, we have a page, we just go to that page and it's right there. Facebook buries it because we like to post a lot of stuff to Facebook.
Right.
Not just looking for feedback and then that's the only thing we post all week. We like to post other stuff too. So the feedback oftentimes gets buried.
Yeah, we like to. The thing about the Facebook is, according to how many likes certain things get, it'll stay up longer when we go onto our page. So it's like if you post feedback on something that doesn't necessarily get enough likes or was posted a few days ago, we might pull it up on a show and literally can't find it. So.
Right. Yeah. So we think the forums will be better. If not, then we may stop doing them. I don't know. But for now, we'll try out the forums. I think the name is it's nestdudes.boards.net.
Yeah.
So you can go there. There's other boards too. We're still working on setting them up, but yeah, feel free to go browse around there if you want to.
Sweet. All right.
I feel like we end. Just one more side note. I think we end the show like that way too often.
What? Sweet.
Yeah, when we both realize that the show is pretty much over, we're just gonna go. Sweet.
Cool.
Sweet. Cool.
So yeah,
that kind of signifies that we're about to end the show when we both just sit in silence for a few minutes and then go. Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So here comes the noises for next week's game.
Goodbye, everybody.
See ya.